You've joined us for another deep dive, and today we're tackling some truly foundational material. You sent us the transcript, right? Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
That's the one, the original 1937 edition from that Master Key Society reading. A real cornerstone text.
Definitely. So our mission here is to, dig into it, pull out the core ideas Hill presents for success and, well, getting rich.
Exactly. We want to extract the real actionable stuff, the insights, maybe find some surprising angles for understanding it quickly.
And you have to remember the context, right? This came out during the Great Depression.
Yeah, a time when people desperately needed a mindset shift. Hill wanted to move them from what he called failure consciousness to success consciousness.
And he claimed these weren't just his ideas, but principles distilled from studying like 500 successful people.
Over 500, yeah. People who apparently started with very little. He framed it as a kind of formula derived from real-world success.
So for listeners wanting to get the essence quickly without getting totally overwhelmed, that's what we're aiming for, the big, impactful ideas.
Precisely. We know you want the knowledge efficiently, so we'll focus on the concepts that seem to offer the most leverage, you could say.
Okay, let's jump in. Right off the bat, there's this huge emphasis on belief and desire.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He doesn't just talk about wanting something. It has to be a burning desire.
A burning desire.
Yeah, and coupled with this absolute belief that you can actually achieve it.
Yeah.
He sees that as non-negotiable.
He even mentions cutting the word impossible out of his dictionary. Metaphorically, I guess.
Well, maybe literally too. Who knows? But yeah, the point is you have to fundamentally believe it's possible. It's like step 0. Maybe listeners could, try that mentally, ditch the impossible.
Then he lays out those 6 steps. It sounds almost like a recipe, doesn't it, for turning desire into actual money?
It does. And it goes from imagination, dreaming, wishing, all the way to concrete planning.
But it's the intensity he emphasizes, right?
Totally. It's not just thinking about it. He literally says you need to work yourself into a white heat of desire for money and actually believe you will possess it.
Wow, a white heat. That's intense.
It is. Think about how that level of focus could change how you act, what opportunities you even see.
And he connects this to practical dreamers, calls them the pattern makers of civilization.
Yeah, he saw the post-depression world as needing people who could not only dream but also build. That definite a purpose, knowing exactly what you want and having that fire to get it, that's the core.
Okay, so desire and belief are foundational. Then he moves into faith and autosuggestion.
Right. Faith, he calls it the head chemist of the mind. Like it's a thing that connects your thoughts to. Well, he calls it infinite intelligence.
Infinite intelligence, okay. And he links faith with other strong emotions.
Yes, specifically love and sex. He argues these are the most powerful positive emotions. And when you combine them with faith, your thoughts become incredibly potent. They have more impact on your subconscious and, in his view, on this larger intelligence.
Interesting. So your emotional state really matters for belief?
He certainly thought so. Then comes autosuggestion, which is basically self-suggestion.
Yeah, like consciously programming your subconscious mind, right? Feeding it the thoughts you want it to focus on.
Exactly. It's about taking control of that inner dialogue.
Yeah.
He's very practical here, too. He actually tells people to read his chapter on it aloud every night.
Every single night.
Until you genuinely believe it works. It's like you're drilling those positive, success-oriented thoughts past your critical mind straight into the subconscious.
Deliberate programming. Okay. What's next? Specialized knowledge.
Ah, yes. He draws a really sharp line between general knowledge, knowing a little about a lot, and specialized knowledge.
And he thinks specialized knowledge is the key to wealth.
Pretty much. He argues that deep, specific expertise in a field, plus the ability to organize and apply it intelligently, that's what creates real value people will pay for.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have areas where you have that kind of deep knowledge? Or could develop it? That's the question for the listener, maybe.
Absolutely. He gives examples, too, like a merchandising guy who created these really effective summaries or briefs to sell people services. Made a lot of money doing that.
And the mother who made a whole plan book for her son coming out of college.
Right. It wasn't just a CV. It was a strategic plan showcasing his specific skills for a specific goal. It's about targeted value. That idea then grew into a business helping others market themselves better.
And the focus was always on the value for the employer too, right? Not just what the person wanted.
But crucially, yes. What can you do for them? And he saw potential there for his mastermind idea too.
Collaboration. Okay, let's pause on that because he talks about imagination first. The workshop of the mind.
Love that phrase. And he splits it into two types, synthetic and creative.
Synthetic is rearranging old ideas.
Yeah, combining existing concepts in new ways. Innovation, basically. But creative imagination, for Hill, that's different. That's supposedly a direct line to infinite intelligence.
So that's where the real breakthroughs come from. Hunches, inspiration.
That's his theory. And he believed it gets activated when your mind is vibrating at a higher rate, often fueled by that burning desire we talked about.
Think about when you get those aha moments. What state are you in? Interesting question.
Definitely. And his examples are classics. Coca-Cola, the enchanted kettle story. Just a simple idea born from imagination, leading to unbelievable wealth.
Wrigley's gum, safety razors too.
Yeah, seemingly simple things that met a need or desire, probably sparked by that creative faculty.
Okay, so imagination generates ideas, but then you need planning, organized planning.
Indispensable, according to Hill. You need clear plans. And this ties directly into the mastermind principle.
Right, the alliance, 2 or more people working together.
In perfect harmony, he stresses, it's not just any group. It's about synergy, a shared purpose.
Yeah.
The benefit is pooling everyone's experience, knowledge, imagination.
Makes the whole greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. And the plan should be created and approved together by the mastermind group.
And if the plan fails...
Make a new one. He points to Edison, right? Failing 10,000 times before getting the light bulb right. It's about persistence and adaptation, maybe supported by that group dynamic.
Which leads nicely into leadership. Hill lays out traits for good leadership.
He does. 11 factors: courage, self-control, justice, decisiveness, planning, doing more than paid for, pleasing personality, sympathy, detail mastery, responsibility, cooperation. Quite a list.
And he contrasts leadership by consent versus leadership by force.
Big distinction for him. He believed lasting leadership comes from people wanting to follow you, not because they have to. Think about leaders you willingly follow, what makes them compelling.
Good question. And then he lists reasons why leaders fail.
Yeah, 10 major causes. Things like not being able to organize details, being unwilling to do humble tasks, fearing competition from your own team.
Lack of imagination, selfishness, disloyalty. It's a pretty sharp critique of poor leadership.
It really is. It often boils down to ego or a lack of connection with the people you're supposed to be leading.
Yeah.
He saw a need for better leadership everywhere. Politics, business, you name it.
Okay, shifting slightly. Marketing yourself. Getting a job, essentially. He gets very practical here.
Extremely practical. He talks about using employment bureaus, advertising, personal letters with those briefs we mentioned earlier.
Using your network. Applying in person.
Right. And he details exactly what should go in that written brief. Education, experience, references, photo, the specific job you want.
But you're qualified. Offering to work on probation.
That's the bold one. Offering to work on trial. Shows incredible confidence. And you need to show you've researched the company, know their business.
And the presentation matters too, right? Neatness, a personal touch.
Absolutely. It's your personal marketing campaign. It needs to be professional and compelling. Decide the job, pick the company, study them, analyze what you offer, focus on giving value, make a plan, write it up well, present it.
That's a clear strategy. Then there's this QQS formula.
Yes. Quality plus quantity plus spirit of cooperation equals perfect salesmanship of service.
So quality is doing good work. Quantity is doing enough work.
And spirit of cooperation is your attitude, how you work with others.
Exactly. He argues all 3 are vital for long-term success and building good relationships. It's not just about the task, but how you approach it.
And this connects to his idea of capital, which isn't just money.
Right. It's organized, intelligent groups who use money well.
Yeah. He gives that example of how breakfast gets to a family in New York City. All the systems, the organization, the capital involved.
It really shows the complexity and the importance of that organized intelligence behind the money.
Money's just the tool. It's the system using it effectively that matters.
Okay, next big ones. Decision and persistence.
Crucial. Hill states flat out, achievement starts with intense desire and a definite decision.
And he uses some heavy-hitting historical examples. Lincoln, Socrates.
Robert E. Lee, the Declaration of Independence signers. These were moments where a firm decision changed everything.
He really emphasizes the Declaration. Goes into the backstory. Samuel Adams, Hancock, Jefferson.
The First Continental Congress. He argues that single collective decision for independence by those 56 guys was what ultimately gave Washington's army the resolve to win, that unwavering purpose.
Wow. So decision sets the course. Then you need persistence to stay on it.
Absolutely essential. powered by willpower and that initial burning desire. He holds up Ford, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Edison again as examples.
And he breaks persistence down too. 8 factors.
Yep. Definiteness of purpose, again, desire, self-reliance, clear plans, accurate knowledge, cooperation, willpower, and making it a habit.
And he even lists symptoms if you lack persistence. Useful for self-checking.
Definitely. If you recognize those signs in yourself, procrastination, lack of ambition, making excuses, you know where you need to build strength.
Okay, we're getting into the mind stuff now. Subconscious fear, negative influences.
Yeah, the subconscious mind. He sees it as this huge storage vault for thoughts and the link to that infinite intelligence. It runs on your dominant thoughts and emotions.
So controlling your thoughts is key, which brings us to fear.
The 6 basic fears: poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. He details them and talks about mastering them.
And he adds a 7th evil, being susceptible to negative influences.
Right. Basically letting other people's negativity or doubt infect your thinking. He warns strongly against this. Think of Woolworth or Ford ignoring the naysayers.
So you need mental defenses.
You do, through self-discipline and habit. Consciously choosing positive thoughts and rejecting negative ones, both from inside and outside.
Then the brain as a radio station. This is getting a bit more out there.
It is, yeah. He theorizes the brain broadcasts and receives thought vibrations through the ether, like radio waves.
And creative imagination is the receiver.
That's the idea, tuning into ideas floating around in this universal field.
Which leads to the 6th sense, the peak of his philosophy.
Pretty much. He describes it as the part of the subconscious known as creative imagination, the channel for direct contact with infinite intelligence.
But it's not something you just get, right?
No, he says it develops through mastering all the other principles, often through meditation. It can give you warnings, hunches, opportunities.
He talks about his invisible counselors.
Yeah, his own method for tapping into this, imagining counsels with great minds from history to get insights. He suggests many great leaders probably use something like this 6th sense, maybe intuitively.
And it develops slowly, often later in life.
Often after 40, he suggests. It takes time and mastery of the other mental faculties.
Okay, then there's the transmutation of sex energy. This one's often discussed.
And often controversial. Hill argues that sexual energy is incredibly powerful, and if you consciously redirect it from purely physical expression towards creative or professional goals,
it can boost you to the level of genius.
That's his claim. He defines genius as someone who can heighten their thought vibrations to access knowledge unavailable through normal means. He links this transmuted energy directly to activating creative imagination and the 6th sense.
And also to personal magnetism, like charisma.
Exactly. He thought people with high levels of controlled, redirected energy had a natural magnetism, which is obviously useful in sales or leadership.
He connects prayer to this too, doesn't he, as communication with infinite intelligence.
Yes, framing it as a process where faith is crucial. Approaching it with belief, not fear. The subconscious acts as the intermediary, sending and receiving, like that radio analogy again.
Believing this source is more reliable than just our 5 senses.
That's the core idea, tapping into something beyond the obvious physical world.
And finally, he circles back to thought waves.
Right. The idea that our thoughts travel, influence others, shape our destiny. But critically, we can control our own minds. We choose which thoughts to embrace.
All creation starts as a thought.
That's fundamental to his whole philosophy. He even suggests mass thought created the Depression after the crash. It's about the power of collective mindset and ultimately individual mind control.
We can shape our environment through thought. That's a powerful closing idea from him.
Very empowering, yes.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, wow. It's clear Hill laid out a really comprehensive philosophy. It's all anchored in the mind, isn't it? Belief, desire, action.
Absolutely. If you're taking notes, the key things to maybe reflect on are developing that burning desire, consciously using autosuggestion, building real specialized knowledge.
Using your imagination actively, forming a mastermind group, being persistent no matter what.
Controlling your thoughts, guarding against negativity, and maybe exploring that intuitive 6th sense potential. It's a whole system.
Definitely. So for our final thought for everyone listening, which one of these principles really jumped out at you right now?
Good question. What resonates most?
And maybe, what's just one small thing, one tiny action you could take today, like right after this, to start applying it?
Yeah, start small. Think about how directing your thoughts and desires, like those historical figures Hill mentioned, could actually begin to shift things in your own life.
We definitely encourage you to go back to the source material if this sparked something. Dig deeper into the bits that intrigued you.
And really consider how these ideas, even though they're from the 1930s, might apply uniquely to your goals and your situation today.